Buenos Dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some smack habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support. I'm very humbled by it. So we've been going a video for video when it comes to the Sincity Manny case, the mind-boggling, intriguing case of the Vegas shooting, right? And I got some more information, man. A little bit more in-depth details into Manny's housing situation. Okay, Sincity Manny, the accused Vegas shooter, who is now facing the death penalty. The death penalty is now on the table. He did go to court yesterday. He formally pled not guilty to 2 counts of open murder. He was given a court date of next August, meaning he has literally a year to prepare his defense for court, which I don't know the route he's taking. He's pretty adamant and pretty 10 toes down that he is innocent. His innocence based upon the fact that he is alleging that Finney the Legend, one of the victims in this case, reached towards his waistband and that Manny felt that he had a firearm. Of course, we know now he didn't. And allegedly watching that video, the angle we got to see, you can't see Finney reaching for anything because Finney went off camera. You know, there's a lot more angles, I'm sure, a lot more footage that's going to come forward. But as of right now, the footage that we seen, which was filmed off of Finney the Legend's filming when he was live, doesn't show Finney reaching for anything. Okay, you can't really see. Now, Manny's saying that Finney was reaching. Of course, you know, that posed an imminent threat to him. But again, he was not supposed to be carrying a firearm walking around the Vegas Strip anyways, man. So, you know, you can kind of throw that out the window. I understand if someone is reaching in their waistband in the heat of the moment, an adversary you know you got beef with, you know, then, of course, you can stand your ground and handle your business. Now, I'll say this, though. Those videos that Manny recorded days prior to the incident happening kills all that noise. Sorry, Manny. Nice try. Okay? Look, a lot of people are saying, why are you so disgruntled or mad at Manny when Manny held it down? Manny stood on business. Manny did exactly what he said he was going to say. From a street aspect, absolutely. He did stand on business. He said he was going to end that dude's career. He was going to end that dude's life. That dude was going to leave in an urn or he's going to learn, right? And that's exactly what happened. And I'm not mad. I'm not happy. I'm not disgruntled. I'm not emotional. I could care less what Manny did or how it makes him look. Because at the end of the day, just like every other person who commits a crime, his ass is in jail, suffering, struggling, hopelessness, right? It's a dark, desolate place. And that's where he's going to be for the eternity, for the rest of his life. His life out here does not matter. The fame and the glory he gets from standing on his 10 does not matter. It might gain him some respect in jail or in prison, but on the streets, that shit's for the birds. You heard? No one cares. It doesn't matter who's the toughest guy, who stands on business, who's down, you know, because no one, not one of you guys that are saying, oh, he stood on business is going to send that dude $1 for cantina. That's a fact, right? Now, Manny is being housed in the same building as Keffe D, the alleged Tupac killer. Right now, we all know that Keffe D didn't actually pull the trigger, but he was in that car allegedly. According to him and the interviews that he put out that landed him in the county jail fighting this case of this Tupac murder case, right? It's all on him. It was all his mouth that did it. The reputation on the streets, his big mouth, his interviews. I don't know what kind of clout he was trying to get off of the Tupac case. But like an idiot, he must have not realized that the statute of limitations on murder is forever. There is no statute of limitations, meaning that if you commit a crime back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and you DNA proves that you were there or that you did it, or you were in association, even after the fact or during the commission of the crime, it doesn't matter. You can be formally charged. Of course, Keffe D has been charged, and then of course now he's pleading his innocence. He didn't have nothing to do. It was someone else. It was another shooter in the car, which we always thought, those of us that watched and paid attention to the Tupac case, we all kind of knew who was involved and who was the shooter. Allegedly, he's no longer alive, so he can't be charged. He passed away. But that was pretty much that. You know, the streets talk, and that's what the streets were saying. Now, Keffe D, being part of them streets, chose to go on a YouTube platform, chose to retell the story in his own way, and in doing so got the attention of detectives, homicide detectives, who decided to raid his house, find evidence on the case, and then apprehend him, snatch him up, and he's been housed in this building in Clark County Detention Center. Now, Manny is being housed in the same building. Now, this can lead me to believe only one or two things. Okay? One, there's been a lot of people that are saying Keffe D is housed in protective custody, that he is in PC because of some of the things he said and some of the people that he has allegedly told on. I don't know that to be true. His son did make a statement saying that his dad is not housed in any type of protective custody, but is rather housed in a high power situation, which I understand that every county facility in California, in Nevada, they do have what is considered a high power building, right? Now, let me explain to you what high power is, because that's where Manny is at. A high power, just like LA County Jail, is pretty notoriously known for their high power area. I was in high power with Tory Lanez. Remember when Lefty Gunplay said that? Doesn't necessarily mean there's protective custody inmates there, but there are some inmates that cannot be around certain people. They are housed. Now, in accordance to law, in accordance to the safety and security and the integrity of the institution, what they do is they may house these guys in the same building, on the same block, even in the same floor, but they are kept separate. Some guys have a keep separate where they could only go to yard with their cellie, or they could only go to the day room or shower time with their cellie or by themselves. Some are housed alone. And these most of the time are the guys that are in protective custody, or the guys that can't be around anyone because they're in imminent danger. Now, the other guys that are in high power are there for different reasons. Maybe they're famous. Maybe they got a high priority case, high notoriety. They might be the big bad wolf on the streets. And so the cops know that they will have major influence in the facility. And to minimize that influence and that contact, they keep these guys separate. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're being housed as a protective custody inmate. That means they're being housed as an inmate that's segregated from population, because either they are in danger or they can put other people in danger, or they have the major influence to cause disruption within the facility. Now, with Keffe D, we've seen the video, or those of us that pay attention to it, where he did come out of his cell and he got into some type of conflict. Now, whether that was his cellie or that was another inmate in the same type of standings he's at, or whether that was a general population inmate who decided to get off for whatever reason, we've seen that video. Now, there's a lot of misinterpretation when it comes to all that. Whether he's in protective custody or is not, I don't think it really matters at this point. Not a lot of people are really paying attention anymore to Keffe D. There's a lot of people that want to see him convicted for the killing of Tupac, right? And there's a lot of people that don't, that feel that he's innocent, that feel he's just an old man with a big mouth. Regardless of how you feel, Manny Ruiz, Sincity Manny, the Vegas shooter, is now being housed in the same building as Keffe D. Now, people have asked me, does that mean Manny is in protective custody? I can tell you beyond a fucking shadow of a doubt that Manny is not in protective custody. Manny did not PC up. Manny did not ask for protection. Manny is being housed because this is a high notoriety. This case is big. Okay, it's made national news. People are talking about it. Maybe the facility sees it as a situation that if he's placed in general population amongst other inmates, there could be issues. Now, I just did a video yesterday explaining to you that there would be no issues based upon his charges, but you never know if Finny the Legend does have family there. If there's people that want to fucking earn a stripe, want to get a trophy, feel some type of way, then of course in situations like that, things can go down, right? It doesn't necessarily mean Manny's in danger because of his case and the case factors. You know, as long as he's not telling on anyone, as long as he doesn't have no weird charges, he's going to be all right. The only thing that could get him in a wreck is his big head and his big mouth. Combined, ooh, we know he's in trouble, right? Now, but he is being housed with Keffe D. And so that means he is being segregated from other people. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a cellie. It doesn't mean that he's not going out to the day room. I don't know the DNA and the makeup of that jail facility and what they utilize, what point system they use, or what threshold they use to house people. Now, I do know in most cases when it's high profile or high power, they will house you separately for all the reasons that I just explained. Okay. But there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, Manny's in protective custody. Explain to me where you come to that conclusion. Because I could pick apart all that. You know, this man really has, you know, if he wants to go to the facility and ask for protective custody, he could do that. He could literally go to the sheriffs when he was booked into the facility or anytime and say, you know what, I'm having issues. For whatever reason, I need to be housed differently. And it's up to them, ultimately, whether they take it as a serious situation or they say, shut the fuck up, stupid. You weren't acting like that when you were killing 2 people on the strip, right? Which boggles my mind because I've seen it happen a lot of times. These super gangsters, people that are on the streets, that are standing on business, that are doing their thing, decide when it comes to them being in a harmful situation, when it comes to them being in a situation where they can't hack it or take it, then they want to go somewhere. It's called rolling it up. It's called faking the heart attack. It's called going to medical and never coming back. There's a lot of different ways people facilitate this movement. Now, I believe Manny is being housed in high power because of the case. Because his name is all over the internet and all over the social media and all over fucking world news, that the sheriffs in the facility decided, for the integrity of the case, for the integrity of the safety and security of the institution, the county jail, that he be housed in high power. Now, there's been a lot of people in high power. I remember when in LA County Jail, let me explain to you the situation. They do have guys in high power that do have bad charges, dudes that do have, questionable pasts or resumes or histories. Then they have guys that are really with the business. Then they have guys, because they're fucking high priority cases, they keep them separate. If you remember Shitty Cuz, right? Who was the killer, the convicted killer of Nipsey Hussle. He was being housed on high power. Okay. Snoop, who was from the founding father of the Northern Riders Dropout Prison Gang, right? Or prison gang, however you want to say it. Some say dropout, some say active. I'm not here to disrespect Snoop in any way, and I hope he doesn't take it as so, but I will say that him being an ex-Norteño and part of that movement, man, if he would have went anywhere else in the LA County Jail, it would have been a Rapalapagus. It would have been curtains. It would have been lights out, right? It would have been gurney time. It would have been helicopter time. It would have been Tory Lane's time, right? It would have been all bad. He was housed in high power. Okay. Also, there was a lot of other people, Tory Lane's, and a lot of other people, Lefty Gunplay, that was housed in high power. Again, they keep these guys separate. They're in the same building, same pod, same fucking whatever, but they're kept separate. I remember I knew someone that was housed there at the time when Shitty Cuz was housed there. And I was trying to line up an interview with Shitty Cuz, and I was debating it because I knew a lot of people would be upset, because even myself, I'm a Nipsey Hussle fan, as you can see, and a Tupac fan. And I thought it would rock the boat with a lot of people, but it was also an exclusive interview because he hadn't did a jailhouse interview. And I was talking to someone who was actually on high power at the time. So I was trying to facilitate that. But at the same time, it was a thin line between love and hate, right? And I decided ultimately that it wasn't a good look for my channel to be interviewing some guy that everyone hated. They might say I was condoning or I was trying to side with. And that's what happens in a lot of these cases when I'm just trying to bring out information, or I'm just trying to give you guys good content, then I'm called, oh, you're siding. I've had a lot of people, you're siding with Manny. You're always talking about Manny. Well, Manny is the last one standing. He is the last one alive in this case besides Julie. We're going to get to her again eventually, right? But with Manuel Ruiz, you know, an odd character, an intriguing character, a comical character. At the same time, there's a lot more to that guy than everybody knows. And we're going to continue to bring you the content on this channel that is going to float your boat. You know what I'm saying? By the Pacific, to be specific. Now, for the people that are saying Manny is being housed in protective custody, some people identify high power or segregation, or people that are segregated automatically as being protective custody, PCs. That's not the truth. The truth of the matter is, man, you are housed based on your case factors. You know, I've seen guys that are so notorious and so vicious, people that can't be on main lines or around people or have cellies because they've done destructive things to them, right? They are housed separately. Doesn't mean they're PC, doesn't mean they're not general population. It just means that's the housing. Take, for instance, my county jail, Merced County Jail. They literally have an active Norteño block. We used to call it the block, right? Where active Norteños, GP, yes, still in good standing Northerners are all housed. Nothing but Norteños. Every blue moon, they might have an associate or an affiliate come in there. I remember when I was there, they had an Asian dude from MOD. He functioned. He had action at getting off the tier. He was talked to. They were like, hey, homie, you can go somewhere if you want to go somewhere. You know what I mean? You're not going to be moved on. They placed you here. He was like, no, I'm cool with Norteños. I'm going to function. Well, he understood he had to function and do máquina and everything just like all the other homies, right? And he was with the program. And he got the same buenos dias. He got the same buenos noches. He got the same everything, right? He was in it. And I've seen a paisa, the same deal. But for the most part, that's where they house all the Norteños, segregated from everyone else, because they don't want the Norteños to try to fucking run everyone over. And in Merced County, that's the way it would be. They house the Southsiders, the active Southsiders, on one block, which is their own block. And then they have two block, which is general population GP. It's a mix of black, whites, paisas, others, all that, right? So because they have these Northerners and these Southerners separate, doesn't mean they're in PC. They do have a PC pod in Sandy Mush, a bubble, right, where people can go. And no one was ever called that because everyone knew what time it was. Actually, those were the blocks you did not want to go to. You did want to go to 2 block over there and kick it with the Woods, brother, right? You didn't want to go over there and kick it with the Northerners or the Southerners because the bad shit was happening. People were getting flown up out of there. I say that to say this. You know, I've seen a lot of different situations, you know, high power in Santa Clara County. They got these different areas where people are placed. So just because Manny is in high power, which he is amongst Keffe D right now, doesn't mean him and Keffe D are in the same type of program. They're not celled up. It doesn't mean that when Keffe D comes out, Manny comes out with them. They could be in that fucking facility, in that pod for 2 different reasonings, and they might have 2 different programs. Like I said, man, a lot of these places, they have these name cards on your doors where it indicates to the officer there, these guys meant to keep separate. This is who this guy is. This is who he's affiliated with. This is who he's associated with. They do that in prison. You know, when you're in ad seg, they'll literally place your ID card of your picture, or they'll have a paper picture made of you, and then it'll say Northern Hispanic. Then they'll have Southern Hispanic. Then they'll have Kumi. Then they'll have Crip. Then they'll have Southern Crip. Then they'll have Wood, or what, you know, it's crazy that California is gang related like that, but it is. And the administration, they play a hand in it. You know, why do they put Northern Hispanic and then a Southern Hispanic? Why do they have to let people know where you're from or what you're doing? It's for information so that they don't never open those doors together because they already know what time it is. It helps them, gives them a quick understanding. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes the doors don't pop and shit don't crack. It does. Every blue moon back in them days, my days. Nowadays, I don't know. Everyone gets along, so it's a little bit different, right? But as far as Manny Wise goes, he's going to sit in the county jail and he's going to work on this case. Now, as far as him pleading innocent, there's a lot of people upset with that. How can this motherfucker say he's innocent when he did it in broad daylight in front of everyone, or at night in front of everyone? Well, it's normal, okay? If he was willing to just ride off into the sunset, plead guilty, take life without, and do that, then he could do that, right? You don't have to sit in the county jail all day. You could just say, you know what? You tell your public defender, you know what? I want to plead guilty. I'm a guilty man. I got a conscience. I did that. Let me take my little slap on the wrist or whatever I got coming, and I'm going to run with that, which in this case, it ain't no slap on the wrist. We're talking about capital murder here. We're talking about death penalty, okay? You always plead not guilty. Because if you go plead guilty, then you're gone. It's over. The game's over. So you plead not guilty and you work on a defense. Of course, again, like I said, his defense here, no matter where he's housed, and it wouldn't even matter if Manny was housed in protective custody. What is that going to change? The fact is, eventually he might end up there. He might go to a yard after he's convicted, and get in a wreck. Now, I'll say this: if he is given the death penalty, if he goes for judgment, if he is found guilty, which we all know he's guilty, right? When he is found guilty, not if, when he is found guilty of this crime, he's going to go before the jury and the judge, and if death is imposed, then he would be housed on, I don't know how they do it in Nevada, in Las Vegas, but if he is housed on a death row facility, then of course he will be segregated from all those on the main line, and he will be just with dudes that are facing the same type of consequences as himself, right? Again, if he takes a deal or he's given life without the possibility, or just Buck Roger dates in different types of years, then he will be around people. And what's to say, man, that someone ain't feeling some type of way because someone ain't feeling some type of way? He's an odd looking character and they might have some odd feelings. And anything could happen and he could end up in protective custody. But as of now, I could tell you right now, he is not being housed in protective custody. He is not PC'd up. He's not rolled it up. That man is going to sit in there and fight his charges till death do him part, literally. And that's just what it is. But yes, he is housed in high power with Keffe D. With Keffe D. That doesn't mean they're out there fucking thumb wrestling or they're playing chess. But usually, and I'll explain to you, I've been in situations in administrative segregation out of state, in California, where these guys that are on your tier, or if you're in a smaller pod, there's no one else to talk to. And eventually over time, even if your adversaries, oppositions, there's conversations that are held, man. You all are going through the same hardship and struggle. And it's like, I remember, man, we used to get canteen, or if I didn't get canteen, the Southsiders would slide me some food. I'd slide them food. It was, we looked out for each other because we were all brown. It was crazy because you're literally supporting the person next to you that wants to kill you, that you'll be willing to kill if the door fucking popped. But you're making sure they're fed. It's a twisted world, incarceration, but it's all about respect. It's all about respect, man. Anyways, Manny's not in PC. Manny is housed with Keffe D, though. That's a goddamn fact. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. For those of you that are hating on me, why do you keep talking about this? Fuck you. How about that? Keep talking about that. For those of you that are rocking with me and understand, man, that I'm just trying to bring you the best possible content I can concerning this case. And don't worry, I'm getting to all other topics indubitably, right? Thank you. I appreciate the support, man. If I don't bring it to you, who will, man? Shout out to the Vegas sector and them guys that are doing their thing, trying to bring you the most up-to-date information they can. And the gun over here doing what I does, cuz. Uparu. Damn, that dude Whack 100 is wild, huh? Adam's Wilder for letting his old lady get pounded by a guy that looks like Whack. Bang, bang.